that's been the basic theme of this conversation is to say, look, progress is not without a cost, even if you like it, even if you say, listen, I am glad that education is more universally available. It's still appropriate to say it might not be as good as it used to be. It's, even though healthcare is better, more universally available, there's more personal freedom, there are some costs and trade-offs. And I think it's appropriate to mourn them. It's appropriate to memorialize them. And I think, I have no desire to sort of, in any political or social way to restore any lost orders. I think it's important to be clear-eyed about what some of those orders are. And I think one of the values of wealth, increased wealth and more personal freedom, is that even if as a society we've walked away from things, as individuals we may still be able to choose them.
Can I make an observation about you? I just realized, I think it just clicked.
Go for it.
You're very curious about how we came to be here.
You mean like the plant, how we as a species came to be here?
Yeah, or even in the more recent, like how we got, like, you're much like me. You do think about where we're going. And I think much like me, one of the things you've done is what I've done is I've looked at how we got here. Because honestly, I mean, it's a good way to understand it, because it's also sometimes looking back is a way of looking forward as well. Because there are some things that are like, in some ways we don't change very much. I talked about this in another conversation. We have the ability, we forget stuff. That's actually a good thing. It helps us heal. On the flip side, though, we do repeat some of the mistakes we make. So yeah. I think you and I have this in common. You're in maybe not the same exact things, but we both like looking back to figure out how we got here. But I think for you, the difference between you and I is this: you look for the little things that were awesome way back in the day, and try to bring a piece of them with you. Is that accurate?
So I think that's perceptive. I think that being a good human being involves looking inside, but I think it also involves looking at other people, and I think that includes looking at the past as well as thinking about the future. And I think and I think this is why I think outrage mobs are the antithesis of all of that. You're not really looking at yourself very clearly. You're certainly not looking at your society very clearly. You're completely ignoring the past, and I think you're just giving into a momentary and sort of childish passion. So yeah, I care about how we got here. I think there are amazing things in the past that we forget, or they disappear, and then they just show up when somebody discovers them and writes a little popular history, popular science book. Hey, let's remember the theater of the mind or whatever, and theater of the memory, and I think that's a loss. And I think if we get, I think in theory we could have cheaper stuff from Amazon and Google. We could have better medical technology, and we could also be choosing to live contemplative lives of the spirit and think about what it means to be human. Sadly, I think we mostly don't. I think we're a parody of democratic man, parody of the end of the bourgeois line. All we care about is that I can have 40 different novelty flavors of Mountain Dew. Yeah. And the world's amazing. There's like we discover more about the past every day.
Oh yeah.
It's as well as more about the wider universe. So
So
I don't know. I honestly, I think one of the ways we get there is by destroying social media. So I hope that Facebook dies an awful, flaming, ignominious death. If I could choose a method of execution, a la Dante, I think a pool of flaming shit would be an appropriate way for it to die. By the way, Letterkenny, I don't know if you're familiar with Letterkenny, but I thought their takedown of Facebook was savage and super on point.
You'll have to send me the link to that. Actually, you know what you should do? Send me the link to that. I'll put that up because I got
it's the whole episode. I don't think it's available outside of a paywall. I think it might be streaming on.
Dang it. Okay.
It's one of the things where I signed up for a free month of HBO or something, watched Letterkenny all the way through, and then dropped my subscription. But it's this takedown where there's a social media site called Fartbook, and people sign up and they like record their farts and share them with each other, and it's just and the whole thing is just pathetic. It's just pathetic, and it does nothing but people disgust each other and reveal their own banality. I think that was the most trenchant, perceptive commentary on Facebook I've ever seen.
You actually made me think of an app on the phone that actually lets you figure out all the places you took a dump on. There actually is an app for that. And don't ask how I know that, but I do.
Like retroactively, like you can go back and enter in your history.
No. You can basically record where you take a dump, and you can actually map out. Basically, it's a weird, crazy species. And something that this is and there's literally an app for everything. And I'm not kidding. There's an app for everything.
So weird.
But actually, so I'm gonna. But you said something I want to touch on. Something I think that was really cool, and which is the fact that things do come back in interesting ways. So I was working in a gas station in Snowflake, Arizona.
Okay.
I remember this. This was fun. My boss hated this lady that came in because it was the accountant. Me and her just started talking, just having a conversation. We got along quite well, actually.
You and the accountant did.
Yeah, me and the accountant. Yeah, we were getting along. We were just chatting about just random things. I mentioned that my dad was a naturopath and he was into herbal stuff, and I am too. I know quite a few things about how that stuff works. And one thing led to another. Next thing I know, she's talking about. Do you know anything about native drums and medicine pouches?
Not much. Tell me what you think.
It's usually like culturally speaking. Sometimes, like depending on the tribe, they'll actually for children they'll give you pouches, and drumming is using for healing and medicinal stuff. Well, I found out this accountant who is not native at all is actually that gift that those native couch have was with her. She was making drums and medicine. She's done medicine pouches for people that really are close to her, close family, stuff like that. Which is it's like sometimes these simple things are still there. They're right around you. I think probably one of the biggest lessons I learned from my dad, growing up with my dad, was this. The world is filled with all kinds of treasures and magic. And my magic in the sense of all these hidden little worlds of just amazing wonders and places and things. The trick is all you really have to do is open your eyes and pay attention, and you might see something absolutely amazing. And I always, whenever I go to a city, this time has been really weird for Windsor because I explore more than I have this time, but this being this sign of the times more than anything else, I haven't explored the city like I would have normally. But even so, I still every once in a while see like these little traces of magic or these little traces of these cool little hidden worlds that are around us all the time. And I I think that connection that you're talking about, looking in the past, I do think it's still there. I just think the difference between then and now is we have so many other big billboards and logos, and there's a war of our attention all around us. But if you can see around you, like for what that is, you can then look really around, and you can find some really amazing things. Also, I'm a little jealous of you just because of the fact that you can look into the night sky, stargaze in the night sky. That's the one thing I actually do miss about Arizona. I got that every night.
Arizona is pretty cool that way. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's true, and I think, by the way, that's true actually with respect to literal magic.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally
true. No. I'm hesitant about actually talking about that because some people react funny when I mention it like that, because it's like it's not real. It's like it kind of is. It's just it's a weird world. If you let yourself be open to it, you will discover and see things you never thought were possible. But it's a weird paradox. This stuff's there whether you know it or not, but you can't really see it unless you're open enough to it's such a weird thing. It's just how we are built. If we don't think it's possible, we can't see it. Or if we do see it, it shorts us out. If we do think if we're open to it, though, sometimes you see some amazing things. So
that's also true in a very literal and social way. So I'll tell you, I've got a couple books out with Aaron Ritchie that are about a character in the 1930s who practices traditional American folk magic, and as a result of which is not, it's not me making up some kind of hard magic system and I go, oh, if he, this material, whatever. No, it's like actually, so right here, I've got the 6th and 7th books of Moses as a historical grimoire, right? So it's me reading actual books of magic and us incorporating that stuff into the stories. And so I talk about it, and what I have learned is if you talk non-judgmentally, right? You talk about these sort of traditional spiritual magical practices. People come out of the woodwork and tell you what they do.
Yes, they do.
Come out and say, oh, my uncle was a Browker in Western Pennsylvania and he did this thing. Or I have friends in Texas and I was down there, I knew they'd read the book and I was down there. And so we went out to Torchy's Tacos to get some tacos, and over lunch, she says, you wrote about the, sort of stone magic in The Cunning Man. I want to show you my magical stones. I sat there, we talked about her.
Yeah. Oh no, it's such a neat. The podcast has been a blessing for me because it kind of reaffirmed something really, really, really cool about just what I know about people in general. Yeah. There's so much depth to people, what they see, what they do, and there's whole worlds inside everyone. It's incredible.